Starting off, if you enjoyed today's content, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing this content. It really helps out small channels like mine. All right, welcome back to Command Priority for a special holiday edition. Christmas is less than 10 days away. I wanted to do something that brought out some holiday cheer, some Christmas cheer. And the deck I thought of immediately was Jegantha the Wellspring. I built it as Elk Tribal. And my makeshift Santa Claus is, of course, Oko. So, tentatively named Grandma Got Ran Over. This deck's all about trying to get as many elk as you can onto the battlefield and then finding some sort of overrun effect or power amplifier to get them across the finish line. Oko is just a good include just for, I mean, it's Oko. He's good at, removing some stuff and causing trouble. So bad Santa. But really, other than just generic elk, what this deck tends to revolve around is two cards, two elk in particular. One is Watchful Radstag from Fallout. It's 2 and a green. It has Evolve. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever it evolves, you create a token copy of it. So the idea is to have Watchful Radstag and then over a few turns just exponentially grow your elks until you hit hopefully something to make them huge and then swing in for a bunch of damage. But an elk in particular that helps Watchful Radstag a lot is, Vernal Sovereign. For a green and a white for a 4/4, so it will trigger Watchful Radstag when it comes in, adding a 1/1 to the original, and then creating a copy of Watchful Radstag. But then this says, whenever Vernal Sovereign enters the battlefield or attacks, create a green and white elemental creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. So if you have just enough creatures in play, you cast Vernal Sovereign, add a 1/1, get a copy of Watchful Radstag. It'll then create its token. There's more than enough creatures. It triggers Watchful Radstag, puts a 1/1 counter on both copies you already have, and then both those copies evolve and make copies again. And you can continue on that way. So this is the main thing that this hopes to achieve here. And you have some things to facilitate it, such as Fauna Shaman, to be able to go get a creature card and put it in your hand. And then you've just got some going into more creatures, just stuff for mana. Savala, of course, is wonderful. Golden Hind as a on-theme mana dork. Birds of Paradise, Llanowar Elves, Noble Hierarch, Ignoble Hierarch. These are all just mana. This is a 5-color deck, but it's like 77% green, so it's a Wooburg green deck. Moving into Elks, got Trickster's Elk. Has Bestow 2. You can cast this card for its Bestow cost. It's an aura spell with an enchant creature. Becomes a creature again if it's not attached, and it lets you enchanted creature loses all abilities and is the green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. So this just goes along with Oko, really, just for doing the Oko thing. Sorry, there's a glare there. For just doing the Oko thing without, having it be Oko at the time. I'll leave him there. Gang of Elk. And all these will trigger Watchful Radstag at least once. Whenever a creature blocks it, Gang of Elk gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Star Crown Stag. Enduring Vitality for mana, but then it also will trigger Watchful Radstag. Fey Steed will trigger Watchful Radstag. Whenever face D attacks another target attacking creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Snowmelt Stag, 3 and a blue for a vigilant 2/5, but during your turn it's a 5/2. With 5 and 2 blue, this creature can't be blocked this turn. Great Sable Stag. It can't be countered and has protection from blue and from black. Trying to avoid the glare there. Tempest Heart is just a good dual spell. You can cast it for its instance to put it on an adventure, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and then it's a 3 and a green for trample. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, put a 1/1 counter on Tempest Heart. Glimmerpoint Stag. Vigilance 3/3. When Glimmerpoint Stag enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Beza was a great one that came out in Bloomburrow. Just a good value piece. When it enters, you create a treasure token. If an opponent controls more lands than you, you gain 4 life if an opponent has more life than you. And you create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you. And you draw a card if an opponent has more cards in hand than you. So just a great value piece that fits the bill for being on theme here. And there's plenty more here that are just good pieces for the deck but aren't, I guess, extremely powerful on their own. That is Splendor Mare. Stampeding Elk Herd is great. It has Formidable. Whenever Stampeding Elk Herd attacks, if creatures you control have power, total power 8 or greater, creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. So just a way to help you get in for damage with a elk deck of all things. Auspicious Starix, just a good elk. Bellowing Elk, as long as you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control this turn, Bellowing Elk has trample and indestructible. Game-changing Elk is just a changeling with trample with elk art on it. Mirkwood Elk from Lord of the Rings has trample. It's a 6/6, so it triggers Watchful Radstag. And when it enters or attacks, return target elf card from your graveyard to your hand. You gain life equal to that card's power, which is gets you a little bit, but it's not really a main theme. This is a great one in here. Dawnglade Regent. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. As long as you are the monarch, permanents you control have hexproof. Great in here because since the whole idea is to build up as much as you can, it'll help protect you a little bit from removal. Galewind Moose has flash, 4 and 2 green for a 6/6 vigilant reach trample. Just a good beater. And it triggers the Radstag. Same thing with Axebane Stag. It's vanilla, but it triggers the Radstag. Dawn Treader Elk. Just pay 1, sack it, and search your library for a basic land card. It does not trigger Watchful Radstag. Neither does Burnished Heart, but it's good for mana. Saddled Rimstag. Gets +2/+2 as long as you've had another creature enter the battlefield this turn. And then Highland Game is just another generic elk. But the whole point here is just to get as many of these out as you can. Hopefully find Watchful Radstag and Vernal Sovereign. And then run over Grandma. Switch into Instance. Just got some ways of finding those two and getting that plan going. Archdruid's Charm, Shared Summons, Eladamri's Call, Kindred Summons, and then some removal in Swords to Plowshares. Could definitely and probably should run more removal than that, but this being a theme deck, I kind of just want to see it do its thing. It's not really meant to be super competitive. Let's see, Ramp, Farseek, Spoils of Victory, cultivate, 3 visits for ramp, some card draw and harmonize, or some just advantage and Genesis Ultimatum, card draw and Rishkar's expertise. Another way of trying to find Watchful Radstag or Vernal Sovereign in natural order. These are great as well, especially the natural order. And the Genesis Ultimatum can be kind of hard to cast just because of the color restriction on it, but there are ways in here to make your creatures tap for any color, which makes it a little bit easier. Then you've got a couple overrun effects. Overrun itself, and then Overwhelming Stampede. Artifacts, your normal Soul Ring Arcane Signet, but then we've got Herald's Horn just for some cost reduction and some, hopefully, extra cards. But then Patchwork Banner for buffing all of our elks. Coat of Arms for buffing all the elks. And then a really good one, once you get a bunch of them out, is Banner of Kinship. This one, the Coat of Arms, gives each creature 1/1 for each other creature in play that shares a creature type with it, which is great. Unfortunately, it also affects if one of your opponents is also playing a Kindred deck. But then, Banner of Kinship, when it enters, you choose a creature type, which we'd choose Elk. Then this artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get 1/1 for each fellowship counter on this artifact. So, I think the last game I played with this, I had 10 elk out, cast this, so then everything got +10/+10, and I had a trample effect on board. It works out. It just takes it a little bit to get going, but it's a lot of fun. Enchantments. Another way of making everything make any color, Cryptolith Rite. Another way, Leyline of the Guild Pact. More mana, Mirari's Wake. Then just ways of getting more elks. Flexions of Litjara. We choose elk, and then whenever we cast a spell that's an elk, we get to get a copy of it. Garruk's Uprising for card draw. Fires of Yavimaya for haste. Asceticism for protection, or while we're trying to build up our board, or we get our board built up. Elemental Bond for card draw. Kinrith Transformation, just for another Oko effect, taking care of something we take care of. Rhythm of the Wild for haste. And then a fun one in here that does fit the theme, because Santa, comes at night while you're asleep. The art doesn't, though, is Cover of Darkness. So, as Cover of Darkness comes into play, choose a creature type. And creatures of the chosen type have fear. They can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. So, a good portion of the time, you'll be able to build up, cast Cover of Darkness, and then be able to freely swing and take out your opponents, or at least one of them. Be great to get some Santa art on there as a custom for this time of year. And then the mana base. Like I said, this deck is a 5-color deck, but it's mostly green. So the mana base is not crazy varied, really. We've got a few Triomes, Xander's Lounge, Zaitor's Proving Ground, and Spara's Headquarters. One Shock, Temple of Garden, a couple fetches in Marsh Flats and Flooded Strands, and then just some good value ones for a lower budget deck. Evolving Wilds, Foreboding Ruins, Path of Ancestry, Game Trail, Brushland, Command Tower. The World Tree's really in here for just the color fixing, because if you have 6 or more lands you control have tap to add 1 money of any color. But it's activated here for 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. You can sack it and then search your library for any number of God cards and put them on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. I run this in another deck. It is Haybuy. And so if we had the artifact in here, Maskwood Nexus, then we would be able to have everything be a god, all of our elks, and then be able to activate this with enough mana and go get all of our elks and put them into play. I do not have the Maskwood Nexus in here, but it would be really good. Yavimaya Coast and Cinderglade, and then the rest are just going to be basics. Just like mostly green and white with some blue splashed in here, because that's really all you need to have the deck run well. So that is it. That is my holiday contribution this year. I hope everybody liked it. Again, it's Jegantha the Wellspring with Oko as Bad Santa, and I hope some people want to give this a shot. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely it's a 3, but it's a lower power 3, so I would almost call it a 2, just because it's on theme and everything in here is meant to do the elk thing. But in a pod that's wanting to do the thing, it's a lot of fun to try and pull this off. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps out the channel. I'm a smaller channel, so I'm trying to get things going and make more content for you. Also have set up a Patreon. I haven't been able to add much to it yet, but it's coming. I plan on putting stuff there a day or two early compared to here on YouTube, so that anybody that does become a patron over there will get those benefits. But really, you're just, if you like the content, then you're just helping me make more content, which I greatly appreciate. So I'll be back in about a week with another deck tech. This time I think we're going to do Taval. It was somebody commented on my last video asking for it, and I'm happy to do that. So I think the next video in line will be my Taval deck. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you.